This morning's guest is going to let the cat out of the bag on opera. Who is he? You'll meet him coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at the Italian Restaurant of the Year, Villa Romana, 707 South Kings Highway in Myrtle Beach. We're focused on the opera on the Grand Strand, and we're visiting with the co-founder of the Grand Strand Opera Workshop, John Bonsignor.
Yes,
good morning.
Sirree, Bob. How are you doing?
Mr. Bonsignor, do you mind if I call you John?
No, it's kind of early in the morning. You got me up early.
Early on a Thursday morning, that's right. Well, of course, Claudio was kind enough to come in. Ronaldo was here slaving away late last night, he and his wife, Fran. Have you been to the restaurant before?
Last night I was trying to trap some cats. We're not talking about opera.
Oh, yeah.
Late night. But
you
anyway,
were out on a regular basis.
I came here especially for my good friend, Greg Everett.
I thought it was for Donald Smith, our director.
Please stop with Donald. He's losing some of his gray matter. He's forgetting.
Have you told him that?
Of course I've told him that.
You share that with him?
Yeah, I tell him directly to his eye.
Yeah.
Donald, you're losing a little bit of your gray matter.
And what does he say?
No, I'm not.
Oh,
what do you expect him to say?
He just quick response is, no, I'm not. He's forgotten his good response. That's right.
He was supposed to come see our operas last year, the season for 2007, 2008. Never showed up.
Oh, come on.
He never showed up.
He was busy with one of these many things he does in the area. That's
but I told him if he came, Donald, I'll teach him how to do the scales, the vocal scales.
Oh, yeah. Well, you never shared that with me, John. Why do you offer that to Donald and not to Greg Everett?
Because he's losing his gray matter.
Oh, so you want to make sure he knows the scales before he falls off the earth. That's right. Well, of course, again, Claudio was kind enough to come in early this morning because his brother was working late last night, serving great meals here at the Italian Restaurant of the Year. You've eaten here before, John?
Oh, absolutely, many times.
Yeah, sure.
Even when Mama was here. She loved opera, you know, Mama.
Right. Mama
you know, Mama used to sing to me every time I came.
Oh,
when she saw me coming in the door, she would give me a little
right behind
tarantella.
us, right here in front of the in front of the beautiful statue, which is normally pouring down water. They were kind enough to turn it off here so we could film this morning.
Right.
It's great to get you in.
But possibly, can you come September 15th, about another month from now?
A month from tomorrow, absolutely.
We're going to be doing E. Lombardi.
Oh, wow.
E. Lombardi.
Okay, E. Lombardi.
I'm not going to test your memory as to who wrote that opera.
It has nothing to do with my memory. I have no clue.
Giuseppe Verdi.
Oh, Josette?
Yeah, Joe Green.
Oh, Joe Green. Yeah, listen to that, Joe Green. That's hilarious. Yeah. Well, of course, is that one of the early things you had to learn prior to getting interested in opera, was learning Italian, or do you
enunciation is very important. Enunciation, and when you do opera, the first thing you do is, before you even go on to the musical scores, what you should be doing is memorizing the text of the opera.
Right. And
getting some background, to doing some reading on the background of the opera, what the composer wanted, what were the scenarios, what time it took place, and the things of that nature. And then you read the score, and then you go over it with the diction coach, and he teaches you exactly the proper pronunciation. And sometimes you don't say the entire vowels when you sing; you just chop them. And when you do that, it's because of the some vowels you cannot. In the context of the opera, you just can't reach the note that you're trying to, so you just chop it. That's the little tricks of the trade that the opera singers do. Yeah. And the coach helps them along. That's what the coach is for. Before
folks reach the level that they're performing to large audiences, John, does it require quite a bit of natural talent, or do folks just require many years of training? Well, are there a lot of natural assets that an opera singer must have?
It's physical. It takes a lot of out of your system. When you finish an opera, you're completely drained.
Right. And drenched.
Well, you got the hot lights on you. You got to memorize the score. You got to prepare for the arias, and sometimes you have to hit a high C. In the Daughter of the Regiment, the tenor has to hit 7 high Cs in succession, practically. So that takes a lot of out of you, and you have to be physically prepared for it. You just can't go and sing an opera, just go and sing it like somebody just tells you, can you sing a song for us? You're having a meal. Can you give us a song? Well, you can't. I mean, it's difficult.
Yeah.
You got to use your diaphragm. There's breath control, and then of course there's a psyche about it. You're saying, can I hit that note? Can I do it good? Is my voice going to carry? Am I going to crack? And things of that nature. So you want to do it perfectly. You want to be a professional. But you also don't want to be an amateur about it, and you say, "Okay, let me sing the song for you."
You don't want to give the profession a bad name.
Well,
yeah,
absolutely. You don't want to give yourself a bad name.
Sure.
You say, "Oh, that guy's over the hill. He couldn't hit that note. It was terrible. Oh, I thought he was going to be sensational, but he let me down.
And
he wasn't
really
as good."
know when you hit that note. Do you all? I mean, is
oh,
John
it's like a joy. It's
you
so
always
nice.
hit that note?
You relieve yourself. You say,
Yeah.
So that's what you do. I say, I did it.
That's how.
But can you imagine the 7 high C's that the tenor has to sing in the Daughter of the Regiment after he's done that?
Yeah.
And that's what made Pavarotti so great when he did the Daughter of the Regiment, when he hit those high C's with clarity, with bell-like precision.
Share with viewers what they will see if they experience and attend the event on September 15th. Forgive me, September 15th, a month from tomorrow.
Yeah, it's at 6:15, and ordinarily we have it at the Firehouse at station number 6.
Okay.
It's North 38th Avenue, between Grissom Parkway and Oak
Street. Sure.
And why we have that, they have a big conference room, and we have the DVD, and we have the presentation there, they have the screen and so forth. And we put on the operas there. And what we do is, before the opera goes on, we give them a little bit background to the opera, what to look for, and so forth. And ordinarily, we have somebody that lectures it, but not too long, because people get restless, and they really came to see the opera, not for somebody to give them a long-winded discourse on the opera. And every opera we've shown this far, everybody enjoyed themselves. We usually get between 25 and 50 people that come.
You could seat how many, John? You can actually seat how many? If
I believe what the fire department likes us to seat, the maximum they want is about 75.
Okay, great. So you've got room for at least 25 more.
Yeah, in fact, we had one of your reporters there last year, Steve Porter. He did a wonderful job. Steve.
Good.
Steve was very good, a very interesting guy. Steve.
Yeah,
he's not only does radio, he does radio so very well, but he also writes a very nice column.
He writes 8 pieces a week for us. Yes.
And he's very active in the community, so that shows that he's well-rounded, and he takes the community to heart.
Right. You ought to call him when you get off the show this morning, or I'll call him and let him know you were
He's on the air, though.
He's on the air, exactly. You call him on air, that's right.
He doesn't want to hear from me, that's for sure.
There's a lot of topics that you could call him about. Of course, you said, I'm just trying to think about, as we sat here earlier this morning before we started filming, a typical day for you. You're doing so many things, John. You're involved in so much. We think about, let's say, last week, or maybe last Wednesday, for instance. I mean, if you picked out a typical day, do you remember what you were doing last Wednesday, a week ago?
Ordinarily, when a person responds to that, I don't remember what I did yesterday.
Absolutely.
But last Wednesday, I was prepped for this question anyway, so I looked into my book, my calendar book, and I seen what I've done. I didn't realize last Wednesday was a really hectic day. It started at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Tuning in, watching Carolina People.
Well, I always watch Carolina People.
Thank you, yeah.
You see, there you go.
Right.
You stole my thunder.
Okay,
I was going to give you a plug,
yes.
and then I couldn't because
I jumped in.
No, I always get up and I say to my wife, I said, Betty Sue, come on, let's put on the television. Let's see my friend Greg. Let's see who he has on.
Good.
Today. Always 7 o'clock. It's like waking up in the morning.
That's great. It sounds like a Maxwell House.
Before you put on the coffee, put on the TV,
great,
look at
John.
Greg.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll watch you first, and then I left the house about 9 o'clock, and I had a meeting at the Save Our Cats organization, where we try to help people have the cats spay or neutered, trap the cats, fix the cats, and what have you. On this particular day, last Wednesday, we had to put a cat down. It was very, very, very sick.
Right.
So after watching your show, I went into the car and picked up the cat. We took it down. The cat's meow, and they had to put it down. We don't like putting cats down.
I'm so sorry.
Because we're a save organization. We like to save every life. But this cat was completely devastated. It was very, very sick. And the most humane thing to do for it was to put it down. After doing that, we took the cat back, and we gave it a burial ceremony. I mean, a lot of people will say, well, burial ceremony, are you crazy? Why don't you just throw it into the compactor, the garbage compactor? No, we don't do that. We gave it a regular ceremony. We had 3-4 people. We dug the hole by Harry Pavlak. and we buried it and gave it a little ceremony and put it away. After that, I had to run and set up the thing with the. I'm also a member, the president this year. I hope this is my last year. Of the South Strand Republican Club.
The South Strand Republican Club.
Yeah, so
yes.
we had the boat cruise on August 9th, was a Saturday.
This past Saturday, yeah.
So we were getting over the figures there. We had some very, very nice silent auction gifts. In fact, we've been working very closely with Stinson from your office, Alan.
Alan Steenson, yeah,
Steenson,
our circulation
did I
manager.
say
Who's
Stinson?
wonderful. Yes, the Tin
Steenson
Man,
with
yeah,
2 E's.
yeah.
Okay, Steenson. He's a wonderful guy.
He is.
He comes from Iowa. And he's
Durham, North Carolina is his hometown.
No, but I mean
yeah.
for the last assignment, wasn't it Iowa?
I believe you're right.
Okay,
Forgive me, yes.
I don't mean where he born, but
no, sure.
But he's a really dynamic guy. You have a really good, talented
He's a
staff.
superstar.
I mean, you've done a wonderful job.
We've
with
put
the Myrtle
together a
Beach
great
Herald.
crew. Hilda Carter, who was with us yesterday, here is one of our photojournalists who's
but,
on the show.
But
yeah.
you always make a success of things. That
Well,
paper's really
I don't
carrying
know.
on. But anyway,
Yeah.
going back to what I was doing, so we buried the cat, and then we went over to do something with respect to the South Strand Republican Club.
Right.
We had this beautiful picture was sent to us by Lindsey Graham.
Oh.
It was the impeachment committee. Everybody that Jefferson Clinton,
Right.
William Jefferson Clinton,
our former two-term
in
president.
1999, everybody on the House that participated in the impeachment in the Senate had their picture taken, and it was a huge, I think it was a 14 by 18 picture. The frame alone cost $35.
Right.
And Lindsey Graham signed it, so that's a really good. If you're history buff,
Sure.
you want to buy that. But we were selling that kind of high for the cruise. Like people like Don Smith would never buy something like that.
Donald would not.
To try to
I
get
bet he
$40
would,
out
yeah.
of Don Smith is like
Had he been on the boat cruise,
trying to
I
get a
bet he
shark's
would
tooth
have.
out.
Yeah.
Oh, Don Smith. I mean, so we were selling it for $150.
Oh, good.
You think anybody would bid on it?
I bet a lot of folks
You would
did.
if you would have been there, but
yes,
unfortunately you didn't
absolutely.
show up.
I had to be in Ocean Isle Beach. Emma, Claire, and I were up there visiting some family. I promise I would have been there. I bought 6 tickets. Yeah, it's a good crowd.
Well, you missed a good time.
Good.
We were singing on the boat. We had this lady that does karaoke, and we got Ray Cleary to sing and Nelson Hardwick. And,
Is that right?
yeah.
I hope you guys-
Last year we had the sheriff.
Right.
This
I
year
remember.
he couldn't be there because he had a seminar. He had all the sheriffs in South Carolina
Oh, no.
here last Saturday.
I'm sorry to hear that.
So he couldn't make it.
Right.
But however, he has a nice voice, and so does Henry Brown.
I bet he does.
What a nice
was Congressman
voice,
Brown on the boat?
Really
yeah, yeah. He didn't make it either.
He was overseas.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes, this past Saturday.
He should have been in the Congress with 10 of his Republicans. They were leaving that session of the Congress, and the House is still open,
Right.
and they have 10 people there. Just want to get Pelosi there to open it up, so they have the vote on drilling, which you wouldn't do. So they have 10 Republican congressmen keeping the House open.
Oh, wow.
Henry was missing in action.
Yes,
But
we won't
ordinarily,
touch that.
Henry's always there. You
Oh,
can
yeah.
always count on Henry.
Hard-working guy. And I think you mentioned earlier that you all are setting up a new office in Surfside Beach, the South Strand Republican
Yeah,
Club.
what we're doing is a 2008 campaign for our national ticket as well as our state ticket and the county ticket. We have this year just one person that we're really pushing for locally, and that's Bob Grabowski. He's running in the 6th District County Council.
Sure.
He has a opponent. I don't want to mention the opponent's name, but
You probably should, since we're on air and we want to give due to both parties here. It's a community affairs show.
you're always thinking
John,
about the newspaper. You're always trying to be
No,
fair.
This is a community
You're talking
affairs
to a
show. We're on
Republican
the,
now.
this is an
You're
FCC.
talking
yeah.
to a Republican
Okay, forgive me. That's right. And we really want to focus on the
We're
Grand Strand Opera
we're
workshop.
promoting
We were just
all right,
highlighting
all right.
you're involved
See
in
how
so
nice
much.
you-
Save Our Cats and obviously.
Well, I'm also a member of SCORE.
Right. SCORE.
Yeah,
The Senior Corps of Retired Executives.
That's correct, yeah. Senior
They
Corps.
may not focus as much.
I'm the
on-
vice chairman of that.
Harold Swanner is going to be with us tomorrow here on Carolina People.
Harold's
You know
the chairman,
Harold.
Harold's the chairman.
We
of
like
one of our committees.
Harold a lot.
Well, he and I co-counsel oftentimes.
Is that right?
Harold, yeah, Harold is
great.
a wonderful man. He's done he's a brilliant man. Very, very
yeah.
brilliant.
Sure,
and
sure.
very good. And he knows the facts and figures and statistics.
Well, again, our real focus is on you, and we want to get into
Okay,
you.
I'm
and
sorry
of course,
about
I know
that.
you're
I
active as a
deviated
score
from that, and I
counselor, but
apologize
share
to
with
you.
viewers
Okay.
a little about yourself, John. What really keeps you, your background? Is it always been, and was opera something you actually worked in at one time, or was that just a passion?
I'm a glutton for volunteering. I'm a glutton for that.
Now, but there was a point earlier in life that
I've
you had
always
to
volunteered. Are you kidding? I've always. My wife has told me, when are you going to stop? You got to stop.
Betty Sue, your wife's a Tar Heel native, correct?
What a memory,
You did
Betty
say it
Sue.
earlier. Forgive me. Yeah, Betty Sue. Is she am I correct? Is she a North Carolina native?
She was born in, let's see, Kannapolis.
Kannapolis,
Yeah,
close to Charlotte. That's great.
Well, her whole family, going back to 1729, they've all lived in North Carolina.
How did you all meet, John?
Well, that's a long story. Do I have to go through that?
Well,
Let's
we've
talk
got about
the
10
opera.
minutes.
Are we going to talk about the opera?
Yeah,
we have
absolutely.
a lot to talk about the opera.
Of course we do. And if a viewer needs to get off to work now, what's the best
Betty,
number?
Betty Sue fooled me.
Right.
She told me she liked opera,
Right.
and I was overjoyed. I said, I finally found a nice young lady that's so pretty and so charming that likes opera. Only to find out and discover she hates it.
Oh, she was lying to you. That's a good way to start a relationship.
She said, I don't like, after I married her, she tells me.
She was just trying to...
But she's a sweet person.
Yeah.
She's just a wonderful, wonderful person.
That's great.
I'm so delighted
And
and
you all
so
have children,
lucky to
John?
find her.
Yeah.
I have three children, 2 boys and a girl.
Where are they?
All of them are on Long Island. One is up in Valhalla, and the other one's in New York.
All
City.
of them are in New York.
Yes, sir. Right.
How exciting. Do you get back to see them often, or do they come down? You all live at the beach.
Well,
They must come down to see
They love
you.
coming to the beach.
Yeah,
And
sure.
you know what the first thing they look at when they come to the beach?
You all live on the waterway, so they may
No,
look
the first
out
thing
on-
they look
oh,
at, the first thing they say they want to see.
Hard Rock.
No, Myrtle Beach Herald.
Oh, great.
And
Good
that's where they
answer.
find
Yeah.
that's where they find all
That's
what's
exactly
happening here
right.
in Myrtle
Very
Beach.
good.
Myrtle Beach Herald.
That's-
We're a subscriber. If you're
I
always
know
keep
you've been
that.
a long time subscriber
We're
even
always-
before I got the paper. That's
In
right.
fact, do
Thank
you know Shirley and Herb Bajurki?
I should. I'm forgetting.
They
You hit
have
me up.
every edition of the Myrtle Beach Herald. So if you want to find something, and go to the morgue. You don't have to go to your paper. You go to Herb and you go to Shirley. Say, Shirley, on September 31st, 2006, can you give me that edition? Sure enough.
You're kidding.
Yeah, she was just telling me the other day that she said, I was talking about Alan Clemens, and she said, well, you know, Alan Clemens is a director of the bank. I said, no, I didn't know that. She said, oh, yes. I said, how do you know? He says, well, I have the edition of his picture here in the Myrtle Beach Herald.
That's unbelievable.
A picture of Alan Clemens.
Right.
And they were setting up a Thailand's Bank,
Which is now a number of years old. That's right.
in Merle's
Yes.
Inlet.
That's
And
amazing.
I mean, I mean, if you're looking for it in the newspaper.
Yes, we need
Shirley
to
and Herb Bajurki. I gave you a name there. See, I'm so delighted.
Absolutely. Shirley and Herb Bajurki. Yes.
Right.
Don't think I won't track them down. That's fascinating.
They're great supporters of yours.
Well, I'm going to have to get them add a year onto their subscription for that. That's tremendous. What about the one great thing that we wanted to get into was that radio show that you had hosted
The
back.
Shuffling Sandman?
The Shuffling Sandman. I know we want to get on the...
1951, you can...
Can we still track down any episodes? Did
Well,
you ever...
my aunt had my last show that I did at that time was on a disc.
Right.
That you played. It did not, so she had that disc, and I had Sarah Vaughan singing. The last song I did was Sarah Vaughan, and what did she do? I forget. In a chapel or something. I'm getting like Don Smith a little bit.
No.
Losing my gray memory.
I shouldn't have touched that subject then. We had some great questions. If you remember, you were with us.
And I did the
last
opera. I
week.
did the
Right.
opera. We
Sure.
did the Manila Symphony under the baton of Aquino. And we did it at the Elizalde building. And Elizalde was a patron of the arts.
Right.
And he loved opera.
Right.
And that was and we got Helen Traubel at that time, one of the finest Wagnerian opera singers, who sang at the Met. She came there to do his concert, and she did it with Elizalde and Aquino at the Manila Symphony Orchestra, which is one of the big events that they had there in the Philippines back there in 1951.
Right.
Is that giving you my age?
That it's helped date you there a little bit, but we're not going to touch that subject entirely. We won't get there. If a viewer needs to get off to work now, John, what's the best phone number for someone to learn more about the Grand Strand Opera Workshop?
Okay, they can call, or why don't they call my cell, if you don't mind
Sure.
putting it down on the screen somewhere?
Absolutely. It's up here now.
385-3963.
385-3963. And if they just said, I want to learn more about the Grand Strand Opera Workshop,
Sure.
how can I get involved? Are there other places on the Strand? I think I remember actually at the Charleston Cafe, seated with a woman who goes to the Coastal Grand Mall sometimes on Saturdays and will watch operas there.
Oh yeah, they have it for the Metropolitan Opera. They put on once a month, I think.
Okay.
They're doing it on the network.
Sure. So you
and
just
they're
want
also doing La Scala. I got a note from Steve Pollison,
right,
who does for another paper.
For the Sun News. Yes,
another paper.
Yeah.
Another paper. I'm promoting the Myrtle Beach Herald.
Well,
you know that. I'm trying to get people
kind.
to
Yes, I appreciate that. Trying to help drive
subscribe because it's a local paper.
It is
and
local.
as you say, it's for
all
local people, and that's
right.
what I'm doing. I'm a local person.
For locals, by locals.
But anyway,
yeah.
the La Scala Opera is now going to be doing that as well. So we're going to have La Scala coming on the internet as well. You can go see it in the movie theaters.
Great.
And the lady that was talking to you was telling us that she had just seen Humperdinck's Hansel and Gretel,
right,
that was being performed at the Metropolitan, and she said it was really spectacular. You had clarity. You can see the right up front with the artist that was singing it.
Did you ever sing in a full-length opera, John?
I sang in a half opera. I did La Traviata by Verdi with Maestro Ferrara.
Had you not shared earlier that you never like to be asked off the cuff just to throw in a little opera for us because you need a lot of preparation? I surely would have asked you here early this morning.
7:30 in the morning.
It would be very tough to get out. But of course, yeah, we'd hear a lot of that. There are some basic. There's some things when you're trying to introduce somebody to opera. If you have just a minute? If you were there, standing in front of the crowd on September 15th, and saying, "Here's some key things for the novices in the crowd." What are the most important things for someone to listen out for?
Watch the facial expression of Pavarotti.
Okay.
While he's singing I Lombardi. Watch how the difference between he and Samuel Ramey, how they approach the notes.
Right.
Now, Samuel Ramey is a basso, profundo, really deep voice. Watch how he prepares himself because he has to go low. He has to hit the low register. And watch Pavarotti, the difference between
so it's watching more than listening.
How they approach.
Right.
We'll say, look, here's the aria that they're going to be singing in I Lombardi.
Right.
They're going to do a duet. Now watch them. Not only their actions on the screen,
right,
and they're emoting how they're preparing themselves, right, but also watch their facial expressions. And watch Samuel, how he builds up his chest to hit those low bass notes.
So an opera,
you can actually see his diaphragm going forward and expanding as he hits that bass note. And Pavarotti is more of a head tones. The tones come through these cavities here,
right,
and the tenor voice comes through the head as well,
right,
and hitting those notes, soaring ahead. So you hear the bass quality, that low notes, as well as the high notes. So that's what you look for. That's what you tell them, and they're interested, and they do that. And they look for it after the opera. I said, what did you discover? What did you look for? What did you hear? What did you like? What didn't you like?
Right. And you get varied answers all over the place. The great thing is you've highlighted that someone even who's hard of hearing or potentially even deaf could get a lot out of an opera by watching.
Sure.
That is fascinating. Well, folks will have to attend. You said it's at 6:15.
But also they have, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, sure.
They also have the English subtitles on the bottom. So if you're
better.
deaf, you
Right.
can see the English subtitles, but you can see the actions and so forth.
As you think back on your many years of interest in the opera, who's been your biggest inspiration in falling in love with opera, John?
Oh, God, I go way back to the early 1930s, 38, when I first heard the Aida opera with Jan Pierce. It was very fine. He did the Rigoletto. I remember the Rigoletto performance he did. Now, don't ask me to cast because I'm getting to be like Don Smith.
Oh, right.
So I forgot the
Poor
cast.
Donald getting hammered.
If hammered,
well,
we're getting hammered.
Wait
until we finish at 8 o'clock.
Right, yeah.
No coffee for me.
No coffee for you, even here at Villa Romana. Thanks so much for being with us this morning. I'm sorry we've run out of time.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Absolutely. Stay tuned to more Carolina People with the co-founder of the Grand Strand Opera Workshop, John Bonsignor, coming up next. Do the math. Do the math, the simple math. He actually let the cat out of the bag. 1938, fallen in love with opera. That puts him at least 70. How does this 70-year-old run all up and down the Strand, highlighting out late last night, saving cats? Early in the morning, heading out after catching the Little Carolina People, but heading out to work with cats, to be involved in the South Strand Republican Club, to help put together the newsletter for the Grand Strand Opera Workshop. How does he do it all? I don't know, but I think I want to say make sure and slow down a little bit, John. Simple phone number, 843-385-3963, 385-3963. If you want to learn more about the Grand Strand Opera Workshop and its big event a month from tomorrow, if you want to learn more about the South Strand Republican Club, if you want to learn more about helping to save cats in our community, give them a call. John Bonsignor is the one to make the call, too. John, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you.
Great being with you.